Farm Bureau Insurance employees donate countless of hours of time to Special Olympics Virginia. Farm Bureau volunteers and believe in that power of volunteerism. The volunteers are the cornerstone of what we do. We accomplish all the work that we do through others. I know most of you know that because most of you are volunteers in this program here today that are part of that bigger, better community that are helping us to accomplish that.
I'd like to thank Prince William Special Olympics for my nomination and Special Olympics Virginia for selecting me for this prestigious award. It is a very humbling experience. I have many faults, however, ingratitude is not one of them. You're only as good as the people around you. It has been my great fortune to be part of this organization, which has allowed me to work with all these outstanding Special Olympians.
First of all, what an honor. Thank you so much. It is also an honor to work with Special Olympics. I was raised in a time where men didn't get emotional, but the last 10 years of my life, things like this just touch me. I will accept this for the 50 or so medical volunteers because all I do is coordinate it. We do all the work, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you have a medical background, I need you this summer. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you for this honor. Like you said, I have been thrilled and honored and blessed to be involved with Area 11 Special Olympics. And actually, I'm the one that should be saying thank you to you guys. Thank you to the athletes. Thank you to Special Olympics Virginia for giving me the opportunity to be involved with such a wonderful organization and such wonderful people.
To Bobby. Obviously, he's been involved in every sport, and Dave, you forgot to include golf. He's done that for how many years now, Bill? But he's learned about the importance of practice, working to get to be a better athlete, translates in part to being a better person, learns how to deal with people. He's had the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, which we all go through. And we've seen him get a lot of awards and medals in the years with Special Olympics. But one of the greatest things I thought in terms of indicating his true development was when he got from his school the Sportsmanship of the Year award. He is on the sidelines applauding his teammates and so forth, and we think that's a real positive thing that he's developed through Special Olympics.
I too, like some of the recipients, get very emotional, so if I do, please allow me. All I can say is thank you to you that are sitting in this room that have been associated with Special Olympics, because you provided me the opportunity to serve. And that's what it's all about as a volunteer.
I compete in bowling, track, basketball, softball, and my favorite, golf. If you have heard me speak before, you know why golf is my favorite sport. In golf, everyone has a handicap.
Good afternoon again. Very nice, and what a special touch and opportunity to recognize last year's award recipients. David, before we recognize this year's recipients, there'll be a lot of recognition this afternoon for some very deserving individuals and families and volunteers, but someone not in the program to be recognized are the board members, past and present, that are here with us this afternoon. I see many of them intermingled among the crowd and at the tables. And if you would allow me to recognize those very dedicated board members that are here with us today, if I could ask all of them to please stand. So all past and present board members, would you please stand? Let's give them some recognition. Thank you. like all of you, they give unselfishly of their time and energy. So, so happy to have them with us. I'd also like to, at this time, for the Virginia Farm Bureau, the Special Olympics Virginia staff to please stand. Events like this don't happen without a lot of preparation and work and energy and effort. So at this time, could I please ask all of the SOVA staff to please stand? Let's recognize all of them as well. Thank you all. And at this time, I'd like to call on Rick Jeffrey, President of Special Olympics Virginia, to continue on with our program. Rick.
Donnie, thank you so much. I want to thank Donnie especially for being such a wonderful volunteer and a wonderful board member and a wonderful representative of Farm Bureau. When Donnie and I play a lot of golf together, this is what we do. I say, Donnie, when I hit the ball, because I don't see well at a distance. I wear glasses to see at a distance. So I say, Donnie, when I hit the ball, let me know where it goes. Tell me. And I'll remember where yours goes. And I'll remember, because Donnie has a terrible memory. So I'm going to tell him that he's already forgotten that he needs to stand up here and be the caddy on the awards process. And I thought that was appropriate. So, Donnie, thank you. I want to thank all of our Farm Bureau. We have some wonderful Farm Bureau representatives here. I will ask the Farm Bureau people just for 1 second to stand. All the Farm Bureau folks, please, where you are, stand up for a second. Let's recognize our great sponsor, all the Farm Bureau folks. The most wonderful thing about our relationship with Farm Bureau is this. The best partners that we have in this organization are the ones that are organized just like we are. Farm Bureau, both their insurance services and their federation side, are organized very much at the grassroots level. I think there are probably maybe even 89 Farm Bureau offices throughout the state, one in each county, just like a Special Olympic program. And so to have a partner who understands the grassroots level, understands that what happens to people happens on the ground, in the localities, at their home, is wonderful. So it's wonderful to have a partner like Farm Bureau, because they not only do some wonderful things for us, and certainly the financial contributions are wonderful, and the volunteering on this particular awards process is wonderful, because we recognize a Farm Bureau Volunteer of the Year in every single local program that we have matched up with Farm Bureau's local grassroots organization. So it's wonderful to have a partner organized just like we are. Today, we have two of our local Volunteer of the Years, Farm Bureau Volunteer of the Years here from our local programs, and I'm going to ask them to stand because I believe they are here. The first one, I would like you, let me introduce both of them, and then we'll give them a round of applause, because I want folks to know that what really happens in this program happens at the locality level. There are no athletes at our office. There are no athletes at the international office. The number of athletes that we have at the state games is certainly a smaller number than what we have total statewide in our program. And where the athletes live and breathe is at the local level. And these two volunteers were the Farm Bureau Advantage Award Volunteers of the Year. First from Area 6, which is basically south of the river Chesterfield and surrounding counties, Kathy Horvath. Kathy, will you stand, please? And secondly, from right here in Henrico County, our Area 31 Volunteer of the Year, kind of north of the river with Hanover, Henrico, Cindy Ray. Cindy, are you here? Cindy's right back here. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, our Farm Bureau insurance employees donate countless of hours of time to Special Olympics throughout the year. They believe in the power of the volunteer. They certainly have their tagline, the membership advantage. The advantage that we have is that working with Farm Bureau is like working with family and working with wonderful volunteers and working with wonderful people on the ground, and that's just the type of people that we're going to recognize in our awards this year. Donnie's going to assist me, and we're going to go through this because we know people need to get back into the workplace. We want to recognize everybody as in the wonderful way that we can, but we're going to try to expedite this and get through this so quickly so we can get everybody back at a reasonable time. No one volunteer has more influence over the lives of their athletes in Special Olympics than their coach. Special Olympic coaches influence not only the lives of their players, but they help change the attitudes of every fan in the stands. Today we honor a person that has been a coach in Area 25, our Richmond City program, a model program for inner city programming in the country. We're very proud of our program in the Richmond City in Area 25, and she's been a coach in this program for more than 25 years. In her career, she has coached basketball, volleyball, soccer, figure skating, track and field, speed skating, skiing, roller skating, softball. Good golly. Sylvia, how you do all that stuff? That's just incredible. She's been a role model for her athletes. She's acted as the chief advisor if they are in trouble, and her drive and energy to help motivate her students to stay involved throughout the entire school year experience, to stay in school, to graduate, to be in class every day. She promotes that with them every day. She has served as a national game coach, went with our team to Iowa in the 2006 national games. She's motivated her family to get involved. She has a wonderful daughter, Sierra, who's here today. Sierra is now interning with us in that Richmond program that we're so proud of. And I want to tell you folks that this program in the city of Richmond, we've learned a lot, okay? And it is a different program than anywhere else. And we work with a lot of young people in this program that have a lot of challenges. And this program went from 0 athletes a decade ago to 1,000 athletes participating in this program today through the Richmond City Public Schools. And Sylvia has been a huge integral part of this. And she has always made it a point to take some of the most challenging players, some of the most challenging athletes in this program that face some of the biggest challenges in their daily lives. And I think that that speaks to her character, to really devoting time to take not just the easy or mainly well-behaved players, but to take some young people that really need some guidance and some challenges. And I think that speaks to her, and we're very proud of her. And our Coach of the Year shows how dedicated and passionate those who teach are to the success of their students as people. Join me in congratulating and welcoming to the podium our 2012 Special Olympics Virginia Coach of the Year from the Richmond City program in Area 25, Sylvia Jiggets Seaborn.
First of all, giving honor to God, I am so gracious, so glad that I'm here today. This is just a wonderful experience to know and to receive an award only because I love working with students, only because I love working with children, any children. I've been teaching over 31 years, and I just love kids. And to know and to receive an award for doing that, I'm overwhelmed by it. I'd first like to thank Farm Bureau for having this really fantastic lunch. I know everyone here enjoyed the meal and appreciate everything that Farm Bureau has done. Could we all give Farm Bureau another round of applause? I'd also like to thank those people who got me here today and get me through every day of my life. My wonderful family, my husband Raymond Seaborn, my daughter Sade, and my daughter Sierra. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Also, I'd like to think of all of the friends and family and co-workers that are here to be here to see that I receive this award, and who are behind me every day to make sure everything goes well and to encourage me and to keep me going. Thank you all. Besides family and friends, there's one man that I really, really want to thank. Rick, thank you, of course, and all of the staff at the on Skip With. Thank you so very much. I've worked with all of you. I really love working with you all, and you all do a fantastic job with all of the programs. But there's one man that is so special to me in my heart. Even though my husband Raymond is right there, there's another man that's very special to me. If I wasn't married and if he wasn't married, well, God knows. I would like for you all to know that this man is so special, so caring, so loving, and he would do almost anything for you. I love kids. He doesn't have any biological ones yet, Holly, but I know he will have some soon. He loves all of the kids that we work with. He tries to give all of the kids an opportunity and chance to participate. He does so much. He's a hard-working man. I am so glad that he came aboard with Special Olympics of Virginia. I'm so glad that he is working with the inner city urban programs. I am so glad that he knows me, and I want him to know that from the bottom of my heart, I know he's one of the greatest men that I know, besides my husband, Mr. Floyd Miller. Would you stand, please? And last but not least, I'd like to thank Special Olympics for giving me the opportunity to give the students that I've taught, that I work with, that are in my neighborhood, any children that I meet, I'll just pick them up off of the street because I don't want to see kids do anything wrong. And so many parents don't have places for these kids to go. And I love giving them opportunity. Thank you, Special Olympics, for giving me the opportunity to take children who, if it wasn't for Special Olympics, these kids would never leave the area, the neighborhood, the community that they live in and go to another area and to meet different people. I have kids who live in areas like Northside, Highland Park, who haven't been any place outside of that neighborhood. And when we go to Chesterfield or Virginia Beach or to Stafford, they think we're out of the country. So thank you, Special Olympics, for giving these kids an opportunity to do positive things, to stay out of trouble, and to feel good about the things that they do. Thank you so very much. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Congratulations. And Sylvia, thank you very much for recognizing Floyd. He toils away in that inner city program over there and Area 25 in Richmond. He does a wonderful job. So thank you for recognizing Floyd. We're lucky to have people like Floyd Miller in our family here. We're going to move along. The Special Olympics program would not be successful without the constant and dedicated work of volunteers in each of our area programs. Again, as I said earlier, the work of Special Olympics, the heart and soul of Special Olympics really occurs on the ground in the local programs. This year's Volunteer of the Year has been volunteering and coaching in Area 26, Special Olympics, which is Fairfax County, for 13 years. He's volunteered, has been a coach, a unified partner in softball, basketball, and golf for many years. He has helped Area 26 establish new fundraising opportunities. He's been a mentor, a board member, and a sport coordinator for his area. His largest contribution to the area has been over the last few years, where he served as the chairman of Fairfax County in Northern Virginia Special Olympics in Area 26. I want all of you to know how big a job this is. This is the biggest program in the state. It's a $100,000 budget a year that our volunteers have to go up there and toil away in Fairfax County and raise. That is not an easy proposition. And it's important, I think, when you work in a program like that, to kind of understand what some of your fellow volunteers say about you. And here's one that I thought was a wonderful quote. It said, "Bill has established a structure and reestablished the mission and helped grow the leadership in the area to help build a culture of financial stability and give us a base for the future." I think it's a wonderful way to describe a volunteer leader. Now look, as big a job as it is, as great a job as he has done, as great as it is to have Linda, his wife, and Kevin, his son, here today to support that with him, because they're just a big part of this too. The most important and best work that Bill Ogletree has done is as a parent of a Special Olympic athlete. Kevin is here today. He's one of our very fine global messengers in this program. And it's really in this program, folks, the parents and the family members who are the real heroes in Special Olympics. So as good a job as he's done leading Area 26, his job in raising a wonderful Special Olympic athlete, Kevin Ogletree, is probably his biggest accomplishment. That being said, let me recognize and welcome to the podium for a round of applause, please, the 2012 Volunteer of the Year at the area level from Fairfax Station, Virginia, in Area 26, Mr. Bill Ogletree.
I'm not sure I'm going to get through this. I want to thank the Virginia Farm Bureau for sponsoring this event, and the state of Virginia and the Area 26 has many volunteers that support the athletes, and I'm very honored to receive this award for all the volunteers who are inspired, as I am, by the athletes we train and support year-round. I've met many wonderful, giving, and caring individuals in my years as a volunteer. I want to thank my wife, Linda, for her support, my son, Kevin, and the athletes for their inspiration and dedication of hard work that they put out every day to compete. Thank you for being here today, supporting the Special Olympics and athletes to give them the opportunities to compete in sports and realize their dreams. I have many great memories with the athletes and the volunteers my past 13 years that I've shared with my family and my friends and one day with my grandchildren. Again, thank you to Rick and the SOVA team and supporters and the athletes for this honor. Thank you very much.
Bill, congratulations. We appreciate Linda coming up to save Bill's bacon here. I think he got it, though. I think maybe he could have probably made it. Okay, we'll move along. We recognize two volunteers of the year at this level. One is a volunteer that toils away in the state programs, and one is a volunteer that works on, toils in the local programs like Bill, and one is a volunteer who works on state-level events or on state-level projects. Like all of our Torch Run volunteers, the Torch Run, for those of you that don't know, is our wonderful relationship with law enforcement. Last year, law enforcement, and there's a bunch of law enforcement folks, ladies and men in here today, that have worked on Special Olympics for years, and last year alone raised over $950,000 for Special Olympics. So because this is a law enforcement presentation, let me ask all of our law enforcement partners to stand up here today. If you're law enforcement, past or present, Clarence, you're going to stand up too here. Give these guys a round of applause and these ladies a round of applause. The law enforcement torch run, one of the most phenomenal things in Special Olympics. And this gentleman, the service part of his job, he takes very, very seriously as he does protecting the public. Law enforcement is protect and serve. protect and serve. Mostly we all see the protection. You know, law enforcement, a very tough job where you show up and you're probably only going to please 50% of the people. But he has served Special Olympics for over 19 years by being an integral part of the law enforcement torch run. He has been the liaison between the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority and the torch run for the past 7 years. He has been the chairman of our annual plane pull since 2008. For those of you that have not been to the plane pull at Dulles, where corporate teams pull an Airbus, we're going to get to that in a second. The plane pull stretches 1 full mile on the tarmac at Dulles. It's one of the most impressive events that we do all year. It is an incredible family event through which about 10 to 15,000 people come every year at Dulles. So I invite all of you to come next September. I think it's September 21st. Come out and join us. He's been a chairman of that since 2008. In addition to the huge job of pulling this plane pull off each year, he's found time to volunteer at local Special Olympic events, at FanQuest, at Summer Games. A couple of weeks ago, this young man spent about 2 weeks in Korea at the World Games. We have the honor of sending one of our law enforcement volunteers to each World Games to run in what's called the final leg. So he spent 2 weeks running through Korea in the freezing cold temperatures and represented us there. I want to just give you another little snapshot. This is the magic of Special Olympics. I love this. I didn't know this until just recently. In 1985, he's a kid, and he shows up in Charles County, Maryland. Is this right, Charles County? Shows up in Charles County, Maryland to volunteer at a Special Olympic event. I mean, he's running score sheets for the track and field event or something, you know, back in the age where they had computerization, I imagine. And you know, this is why we try so hard to involve young people in this program, whether it be in our city program in Richmond, whether it be in our other programs, and we're going to have a real push on to involve even more young people in the next few years, because you never know when a person grows up and gets into a position of law enforcement and helps volunteer on a program, who gets into education and sponsors a program, who becomes an employer and creates a job for somebody. And this is what, in 1985, he's a kid in junior high school or whatever, and he volunteers at Special Olympics. 1998 until the present, he's worked on things like Tippecop with the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority. He's volunteered for the Prince William Police Department. Doesn't even work for them. He shows up at another police department and volunteers. He's worked at golf tournaments, all kinds of events. During the last decade, he's attended regional and international conferences, and I've been with him at these conferences, and he goes to every session, and he's involved. He has plunged in the polar plunge since 1999. First year in uniform. Since then, he's been in costume, wedding dresses, tutus. He was Britney Spears plunging in the polar plunge one year, if you can imagine that. He actually plunged in the water in Korea to raise money while he was over there. They had law enforcement actually plunge there. A few years ago, we gave him an award, which we give to one law enforcement person each year, called the Kenny Fields Unsung Hero Award, for people behind the scenes who don't always get a lot of publicity. But here's the story that I love most about Joe. I show up at a meeting a couple of years ago, and I see him, and I say, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Man, I was at the basketball championship at our All-Star Friday night event up in Fredericksburg, and that was great. And I had my wife, Julie, there, and I had my 2 kids there, and they just had a great time." Now, this is a guy that's not just volunteering for a law enforcement effort. He's involved in the program because he believes what we do is not just a nice thing, but it's very important. And I think that speaks to the measure of the man. This volunteer often plans his personal time around Special Olympic needs. He has taken time to get to know the athletes and to have a great appreciation for who they are and what they contribute. Join me in giving a big round of applause to our 2012 Program Volunteer of the Year, regard of what he looks like up there in those pictures, Joe Carroll.
Well, thank you. Yeah, sit down. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife. If it wasn't for her, I couldn't do all of this. She takes care of the kids when I'm away, and she follows me to these events, and she's getting into it now. She enjoys coming to these events. I also like to thank the Farm Bureau for wonderful lunches for Valentine's Day. I told my wife now this is her fancy meal. So I don't provide one now. That was pretty good. I'm glad I'm up here before Frank talks again, because I couldn't talk after him. That'd be kind of rough. Frank gave a speech at a torch run event a couple of years ago and talked about the Tip-A-Cops that we do together. And it touched me because I had touched his life, and he had done the same for me at that point. And getting a thank you from Frank was a big highlight of my torch run career. I also like to thank the brothers and sisters here in law enforcement because, again, I don't do all the events where I'm at. I go to a lot of events, and I help them out, and it's a big family when we help out the athletes. We have a dance party in Richmond that Michelle and I try to do now for the athletes at summer games. That was fun. Yes, I did just get back from South Korea, and I have one story I'd like to relay about what happened there with one of the athletes. It was a very young athlete, female. I could not say her name in Korean. Her parents didn't speak English, but my translator were going back and forth. She was very shy, would not talk to me, would not look at me, and didn't communicate very well. Her parents were upset because she wouldn't talk to us because we were from America. I gave her one of our final leg pins and one of our police patches. Her face lit up. She found out I was a police officer. At that point, she was very happy and gave me a hug. And dealing with athletes from another country, doing that, it was touching to me. And I really enjoy interacting with the athletes. And, but thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. I have to say that's the most reserved I've ever seen you. It's just, yeah, I know. We saw the photos. A few years ago, I was having lunch with one of our board members, John Stevens, and he said to me, the main community that our athletes belong to and are part of is the family. And outside of that, there's really not much for them in many cases. And so Special Olympics becomes the next biggest community. And out of that kind of came our thought of what we now are using basically as our kind of our motto of what we show up and try to do every day, like we're doing here today with one of the largest gatherings we've ever had at this lunch, which is build a bigger and better community. But that being said, the family community and the family members, as I always say, are the real heroes of Special Olympics. Frank, who you're going to spend a few minutes here with in a second, is who he is. He's a wonderful guy. Great speaker, great performer, wonderful Special Olympic athlete. But the family has provided an environment for Frank that has made him great. And they've provided an attitude that has helped, I think, probably make us all a little better. Special Olympics provides an important network for many athletes, but again, there's no more important support system than the family. Along with the athletes, there are no greater heroes in our program than family members who often take on many roles: coach, chauffeur, mentor, fundraiser, area chairman, chief cook and bottle washer. All of those are things that our families do. This year's Family of the Year has contributed on all of those levels. Nick, Cornelia, John, and Frank rarely say no when they're asked, can you do something? You can fill that blank in. They'll do it. As with the yes comes an amazing insight, energy, willingness, impactful messaging, and tremendous experience, and a genuine desire to help us, all of us, at Special Olympics reach or deliver our mission. They're very supportive as donors. They're very supportive on Capitol Hill Day. They've been up on Capitol Hill and they've lobbied legislators and congressmen and senators. They're going to go again this year. As the Global Messenger team, Frank has worked with all three of his family members and delivers some of the most thought-provoking and eloquent messages of anyone in the movement. Not in Virginia, not in Fairfax, not in the U.S., in the movement globally. Their work in that way has prompted numerous requests from around the globe to hear more from Frank. They communicate with people from all over the world. Team Stevens, as we call them, with Frank as the primary spokesman, has been featured on CNN and interviewed by Piers Morgan. Tim Shriver referred to Frank's response to Ann Coulter. For those of you that don't know, back during the election, Ann Coulter, who is the conservative pundit, referred to the president as a retard. And the next morning I got a call from Tim Shriver, and he said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "What can I do?" And he said, "Contact Frank and see if he will write a response to Ann Coulter." That response was written by that afternoon by Frank. I forwarded it on to Special Olympics International. It was posted on the website. The largest amount of hits that the Special Olympic website had ever gotten on one particular item had been 6,500 hits that they had gotten on something 3 or 4 years ago. They posted it at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday night. By Wednesday morning, there were 600,000 hits on the website. By the end of the week, when Frank appeared live with Tim Shriver on the Piers Morgan show on CNN, right after Ann Coulter had appeared, the number was at 3.2 million. Tim Shriver said it was the most important week, perhaps in the history of the movement, because it took Special Olympics out off the playing field, out of the gym, and it put it in people's living rooms, and it put it on at people's kitchen tables to talk about the use of the R word. As Frank has been quoted a number of times in his speeches all over, he sees himself as a man with Down syndrome, and his life is worth living because he can deliver a big message. But understand that when these things have to be done, and I mean, he was on every news program in the country, radio and television, CNN, he was on Fox News, he's on Canadian stations. Somebody has to make that happen. And Cornelia and John and Nick all rally to make sure that Team Stevens can deliver. So when we say that he's interviewed globally and he's interviewed as a global messenger all over, that's really true with Frank more than it is probably with anybody else in this movement over the world. But it couldn't be done without the whole family. In fact, the very first big speaking engagement Frank had was in 2004. We hosted the Law Enforcement Conference from International, and Frank stood before 1,000 law enforcement officers, and he delivered a message, and the person that brought him that day was his brother, Nick. And Nick, you gotten some pretty good gigs out of this whole thing, haven't you, I think, over the years? Yeah, Nick, one time Nick gets to take Frank to Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, great jazz musician. Nick gets to take Frank to Quincy's 75th birthday party, and he gets to meet Colin Powell, and he gets to meet NBA great Sam Perkins. And afterwards I said, "How was that, Nick?" Nick goes, "This stuff with Frank, it's okay." Yeah. The Stevens family involvement has spanned a lot of aspects in Special Olympics: the athlete, coach, treasurer, global messenger, mentors, board of directors, fundraisers, SOI appearances, chauffeurs, mentors. They've helped everybody. They've touched everybody in this room. They've touched everybody in Special Olympics in the world. So please join me in congratulating 2012 Special Olympics Family of the Year from Fairfax, Virginia, John, Frank, Nick, and Cornelia Stevens.
Yeah, we actually all sort of thought about hanging on to the back end of Frank's coat on the way up here because basically we've been riding his coattails for a couple of decades now. Did I stall long enough for you to get your notes out?
Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of my parents and my brother and me, we are family. Woo! Can you hear Sly and the Family Stone? Seriously, this is the kind of this is kind of odd for us. Our family is honoring our family. We feel that we should be honoring you. For 23 years, my two families have been here whenever I need you. And when I was very little, and Nick was even smaller, he stepped between some bullies and me and backed them down. Even before I was little, Miss Shriver was backing down the bullies. When I was barely in my 20s, my dad stepped aside and gave me a chance to advocate for myself. Just this year, Tim Shriver stepped aside, and now I have 3.2 million new friends on the internet. So to both of my families, thanks for stepping in, and thanks for stepping aside. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Well, thanks, guys, to all the Stevens family there for being a wonderful piece of the grassroots. But we're going to get to another award winner here who also is part of a family that's been very involved. The Virginia H. Foster Winning Spirit Award is bestowed on a volunteer or an athlete or a group in Special Olympics who has made an impact on many levels of the organization. This year's recipient been involved in Special Olympics for over 15 years. Her dedication to building a bigger, better community is evident in all that she does. Her work as a volunteer, coach, a unified partner, philanthropist, a mother of a SOVA athlete has been far-reaching and impacted all levels of Special Olympics Virginia. She and her husband, Clarence, eagerly share the enthusiasm for Special Olympics Virginia with others. They're very committed to bringing all people of all abilities together and helping others gain self-respect and display their abilities, and you'll hear about some of this in just a minute, I know. She believes that these interactive opportunities with the sorts of vehicles that we provide are where true transformations take place. While her more than 15 years of financial support for Special Olympics Virginia has been tremendous, she and her family give much more than just financial support. She is a philanthropist that lives by example. She's always willing, generous, welcome, and gracious. Her support of Special Olympics Virginia has evolved from providing local program funding to sponsoring a 2003 World Games athlete
to providing a legacy gift, creating a scholarship fund established in the name of her and her husband that will ensure in perpetuity that nearly 65 to 70 athletes every year from Area 6, south of the river, will go to the University of Richmond to summer games forever. I thought that was interesting, and our friends from the University of Richmond back here, Hossein and Jim and some of the others will be interested to know that Carol was the first person that I ever really heard referred to summer games as the University of Richmond experience, okay? Because our athletes are there for 48 hours with probably as many as between 6,000 and 10,000 people from the community every year. Her life as a natural athlete and a team player perfectly sets the stage for her drive to guarantee that Special Olympics Virginia athletes will always be able to play on in sports and in life. But I want to say again that her most important work that we have seen has been as a Special Olympic parent with her son David. We've known David for a long time and been in this program since he was a little kid. Shy little kid, Down syndrome, growing into a very energetic and outgoing young man, very fine Special Olympic athlete, medal winner at the 2003 World Games in Ireland, where his family was there to see it. And I think somewhere this spring, he is going to probably achieve his third-degree black belt in karate. And all of that, yes, I know, yeah, I got you. All of that, because Carol provides a wonderful environment for him and challenges him and brings him out. And just a few years ago, when she married Clarence Williams, who was my sheriff in Chesterfield County for 30 years and a very good friend, and a former chairman of our law enforcement torch run effort from back in 2004, when Clarence came into David's life, he provided that same guidance, even providing an opportunity for him to work at the sheriff's office one summer. So it's a family affair. And believe me, I'd like to sit up here. It's like for Kevin Ogletree or Frank or David, I'd like to sit up here and say, it's all because of Special Olympics. It's not. We are a part. We're an equation. It's an equation of success here, okay? And we're just a small part of that equation. The family members that provide the environment for these athletes and for David. That's where it gets done. That's why these guys are so great. We're just part of an equation, and we're happy to be that. We're happy to be that because nobody does Special Olympics better than this lady. So please help me recognize just a great fan of Special Olympics and a great athlete in her own right, and Special Olympics Virginia's 2012 Virginia H. Foster Winning Spirit Award winner, Carol Williams.
I know why Rick told me I could only speak for 3 minutes. But I do wish I could get up here and just roll it off like he does, but I have notes. First, I'd like to thank the Farm Bureau for lunch and for all my family and friends for coming to support me today. I'd like to start by thanking Special Olympics for nominating me for this prestigious award. I'm humbled to share this award with some past nominees that I know, Paul Moretti, Marjorie Loya, and John Moreau. I have a story about the Moreau family I'd like to share. It won't take too long. I was a teacher at the collegiate schools and had the privilege to teach and coach John's daughter, Lee. She was a super athlete. The day David was born, I had the flu and a temperature of 103. At 2 a.m. the next morning, the phone rang in my room, and I said, hello? She said, Coach. And I said, Lee, how did you get through here? I'm in quarantine. And she said, I heard something was wrong. What is it? And I said, Lee, I think David might have Down syndrome. And there was a pause, and she said, "Oh, is that all? I thought something was really wrong." You never heard that story, did you, John? Now that's a winning spirit right there. I'm honored to be associated with this awesome organization that is known worldwide. I had heard of Special Olympics, but did not get involved until my son David turned 8, that magic age of 8, and then learned very quickly all of the sports that were available for him to be involved in. As a former PE teacher and sports enthusiast, I thought this was great. David was able to compete in organized athletics, and I was able to help coach. It's a win-win for both of us. One of my funny childhood stories, and I wish my brother Rob was here today. He couldn't make it because of something came up at work. But my brother Rob, a 7th grader, tried to get me, a 5th grader, to try out for the 7th grade boys football team at Westover Hills Elementary School. Well, I suited up, went to tryouts ready to tackle and knock the boys down. Before going on the field, I had to get on the scales because apparently there was a weight limit. Rob got to stay. They sent me home because I was over the 120-pound weight limit. Wasn't funny then. I also need to thank Special Olympics for introducing to my husband, Clarence Williams. I met Clarence when he was the sheriff of Chesterfield County and the chair of the 2004 torch run. With Special Olympics and golf in common, we hit it off great. I love you, honey. I'd like to thank my parents and their families, for without them, what I have done for Special Olympics would not be possible. They have enabled me to have the means and the time to give back. My mom and dad, Roby and Elise Estes, together they were great parents. My mom was an angel on earth. Church and family were the center of her life. My dad was tough on us, but had a heart of gold and was great to all of his employees. I'd like to thank my Aunt Sue, who's here today. She was born with cerebral palsy in 1933 and lived with us for over 30 years. At a very young age, I learned to accept differences in people and had a very strong desire to protect and help those in need. I'm going to talk about my brother like he was here because that's how I have it written. Also here today is my brother Rob, who is now the president of Estes Express Lines, working alongside many of our family members, including David. David's an employee there, and over 14,000 other employees. Estes was founded by my grandfather, W.W. Estes, in 1931. He borrowed a Chevy truck. It had no windshield, and it was an egg crate for the seat. He drove to Richmond with his load. So he didn't waste gas or money. He brought back cans of paint to a friend in Chase City. He and his wife Gladys suddenly realized that this delivery service might one day be something everyone would rely on, and Estes Express Lines was born. Today there are 5 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren employed there. Special Olympics has provided me many opportunities with David that I would not have ever had. There are many great memories, and here are just a few. The best memory I have is of David at the World Games in Ireland, speed skating and bringing home 2 gold medals.
Yes, Mom.
Ireland was beautiful. My other 2 children, Elise and Jonathan, and I stayed in a country cottage with a host family. We toured Ireland following and cheering for David, and we still keep in touch with our host family. Another great memory that a lot of the athletes here will know is the state softball tournament in Bedford. The Bedford Moose Lodge is our host. They serve us breakfast, lunch, and dinner all weekend, along with an opening ceremonies, a closing ceremonies, a dance, and a fireworks show second to none. It's the highlight of the softball season. And this is probably my favorite memory of David at the state golf tournament in Virginia Beach last year. I am David's unified partner, and we were playing alternate shot. If you know what that is, he hits one, I hit one, he hits. David hit his fairway shot onto the green 10 inches from the hole. He got a lot of high fives when we got to the green. It was my turn to make this putt. I missed. David looked at me and said, "Come on, Mom, you're killing me." He actually said that. Eunice Shriver did it right. She pledged that Special Olympics would offer people with intellectual challenges everywhere the chance to play, the chance to compete, and the chance to grow. She would be proud of the job that Special Olympics Virginia is doing, creating opportunities for these athletes to be happy, to be proud of their accomplishments, and to build lifelong friendships with their peers. Even though a monetary gift is important to this program, the most credit and thanks should go to all the volunteers. The coaches, the partners, the officials, the scorers, the fans, even the huggers. There's a job for everyone. That donation of time is the best gift anyone can give. I plan to continue my support of Special Olympics in all areas for many years to come. And I have never done this before, but you're hearing it here. Next February, I pledge to plunge. Clarence, too? And David? Thank you.
Thank you, David. I don't think so, huh, Clarence? Yeah, right. Thank you, Carol and David. That's terrific. Last but not least, it's probably the most important award we do all year. It's fantastic. It's our Athlete of the Year award. We're honored this year to have a young man with us who was our recipient last year, 2011 Athlete of the Year award winner, Ian Frazier. I'm going to ask Ian to come up here right now and help Donnie present this award. Ian, can you come up? Let's give Ian a round of applause as he's the current Athlete of the Year. It's my honor to recognize an outstanding athlete and a true leader among his fellow athletes in his community. He's been involved in Special Olympics for 8 years, participated in basketball, soccer, track, golf, bowling, had a brief encounter with swimming. Brief encounter with swimming. I'm not sure what that means, but that's okay. And he's actively studying Taekwondo also. Matthew is a Special Olympics Global Messenger. He has spoken at a number of Special Olympic events for us and regularly speaks on behalf of the local program at schools throughout Fredericksburg Area 11 to help strengthen that relationship with the schools. In fact, Matthew is a graduate of Mountain View High School, where we hold our All-Star Friday night opening for our basketball championship, and they really wanted All-Star Friday night to come there because they wanted it to come there to honor Matthew, one of their graduates. I thought that was a wonderful story. We're sure that Matthew is a major contributing force behind Area 11's success in fundraising. Matthew's dad and mom, Tim and Rosie, are here today, and Tim is the coordinator and chairman up in Area 11, and they actually raised their entire budget for the year 2 weeks ago at the Polar Plunge, which we think is a wonderful story. We're on a collaborative effort with the local programs, and they've done a wonderful job with that, and they plunge every year. So, Carol, you'll have plenty of friends to plunge with that, and Joe will have another costume on. I'm sure we'll all see what happens. Matthew is a founding member. I think it's a wonderful story. Matthew is a founding member and a captain of what is called the Stafford County Sheriff's Office Special Star Force. Charlie Jett, Charlie, will you stand up for 1 second? Where are you? Sheriff Jett, stand up for 1 second. Give Charlie Jett a round of applause. Charlie is a former board member of ours, former chairman of our torch run, sheriff in Stafford County. Charlie developed about 5 or 6 years ago the Special Star Force. It is the only one of its kind in the country. It is a cadet force of young men and women, all of whom are intellectually disabled, for the Stafford Sheriff's Office. They have wonderful uniforms. In fact, the first thing Matt said when he showed up today was, "I'm sorry I didn't wear my uniform." But they have wonderful uniforms, just the same exact uniforms that the deputies wear. They were sworn in at a wonderful swearing-in ceremony at the courthouse by Judge Braxton. It was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And, you know, Daryl English is here today. He's an integral part of that Star Force. And Steve Carey, who's a captain up there, is an integral part of that Star Force. And Steve Carey told me this a couple of years ago. He said, we do this Star Force, and it's really great. But understand, it does more for us than it does for the cadets. I'm like, how so? He's like, most of us don't encounter people with intellectual disabilities on a daily basis, and we don't encounter them in a positive situation. And this is all positive. And we have learned so much about these guys and ladies, so much about their capabilities, and it has made us better. It has made us more appreciative of what they can do and what we can do. Now, I thought that was a wonderful story, because I think that's exactly what Charlie intended when he created the Special Star Force. So when these guys from Stafford Sheriffs show up today to honor Matthew, they're not showing up to honor a guy with an intellectual disability, and they're not showing up to honor a guy who's part of a program that they sponsor. They're showing up to honor their friend. Did you get that? That's what we're about. We're about relationships. We're about people, we're about not letting disabilities divide, but about bringing them together with people so we can learn more about each other. And I think the most thing that probably any of our Special Olympic athletes would like to be is they'd like to be your classmate, your coworker, your neighbor, your friend. And that's what the Star Force has done. And I think that's a wonderful story, and I think Matthew is a wonderful representative of it, a wonderful representative of our program. He was featured in the Times-Dispatch at Summer Games a couple of years ago, not because he won the 100-meter, but because the reporter thought that it was fascinating that at the starting line, he was hugging every one of his other competitors, and he was telling them he hoped they did the best they could. Because Special Olympics makes you, as a competitor, not a foe, but a friend. Welcome our 2012 Special Olympics Athlete of the Year from Fredericksburg and Stafford County, Area 11, Matthew Doyle.
Thanks, everybody. Just want to say thank you for everything that's done for me. I want to thank Sarah Jett, who is part of my life. I want to thank him. How many times we've been friends or crime partners, partners in crime, I want to thank my dad, Tim Doyle. He's my father and a coach to his athletes and to his community. Not only that you guys know that my dad was a retired Marine, First Sergeant Timothy Doyle, please rise. I want to thank my dad thank you for serving his and our country. There are men and women that serve our country today. I want to thank the Special Olympics staff who gives me the opportunity to be the athlete. And I've been more active as a cop, and I graduate at Malibu High School of 2010. I was nominated as a homecoming court and prom court, because no matter what, whatever these kids like me, Ian, and Frank Stevens, we both are great athletes. And I want to thank that we have a wonderful dinner tonight. And I want to thank that everybody else that came tonight. I want to thank that no matter what I do, Special Olympics is not about losers or winners. We are competitors. Not only that, we can do better than Special Olympics. A couple of weeks ago, when I saw Frank Stevens on TV a couple of weeks ago, and I was very happy. He said that the first words, the Leatherman jacket. And I remember when Frank Stevens did that first word. I was proud of Daryl English. I was proud of him no matter what. He's always been a part of my cadet program. I want to thank you, Daryl English, from the bottom of my heart. That has made my life more impressive than he did. Thank you for promoting me as your 2010, the captain of the cadets. And not only I was going to be dressed as my cadet year from tonight, but I can't. But what the heck, I want to dress as my professional guy with a nice, handsome man with a nice dressed uniform. And I want to thank the law enforcement officers out there for giving me the opportunity to be there. But no longer, I did the polo plunge for my 7th time. Not only I did it, and I was very proud of what I did for the polo plunge. My dad plunged, and I plunged as a hard area of Area 11. And Rick, can you help me how much we raised for Area 11? 75,000 for Area 11. And I was proud for my program. I want to thank the donors, the people who sponsor me. I want to thank the opportunity for giving me this reward, and I'm proud of myself no matter what. I want to give my best friend Ian to do the Special Olympics oath before we end this tonight. So Ian, please come over here to do the Special Olympics oath with me. You ready?
Yeah.
Let me win.
Let me win.
But if I cannot win,
But if I cannot win,
let me be brave in attempt.
let me be brave in the attempt.
I want to thank, this is the last one I want to say, I want to thank the Farm Bureau for giving me the opportunity to be the Athlete of the Year. Thank you guys for the luncheon and everything that you made me. Thank you everybody, and have a great day and have a safe drive home. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. That was pretty cool, huh? Okay. I got nothing to add to that. That's it. I got nothing left. Thank you all for coming. A lot of you do a lot of different things here. We appreciate it every particular moment. And, you know, I can't, when a law enforcement person approaches me, I always back away, okay?
I want to interrupt this program with a special announcement. And I want you to vote. Rick, have you polo plunged before?
No, I have not. All right, all right.
I pledge $1,000 if Rick will polo plunge next year with me.
You're the man. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Donnie.
I can't top any of that, and I won't begin to try. So let's close this program. And on behalf of Virginia Farm Bureau, it surely and certainly was an honor to sponsor the lunch today. God bless each and every one of you, and have a safe trip home. Thank you.